We're back live for another Jaw Time with Realtor Jeet. Thank you so much for joining. And before we begin, I just want to say thank you for your continued support. And if you like what you're watching, definitely like, comment, and subscribe so that I can bring more value to you. Today, I have a really, really special guest, and it's such an honor. She's a dear friend of mine and a partner in Chicago. Her name is Nicci Mertens. And Nicole started her real estate career in 2019. And prior to that, she was a police officer and she was a 911 dispatcher. So she decided to shift her career into real estate. And this is something huge for a lot of people that think about changing careers. So I know she's a rock star agent. She's absolutely amazing. I met her through Zoom and I just can't wait to meet her in person, and I'm going to bring her up. Hey, Nicci.
Hey, Arjeet, how's it going? Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. You know, Nicci, I'm so happy I get to start March with Jaw Time in March with you because it's Women's Month. March is Women's
Absolutely.
Month. Nicci is an EXP Realty agent as well. So we were just talking about the collaboration and what EXP is about as well. And this career switch.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, Nicci, and thank
Yeah.
you for joining.
I've got my giant Yeti because that's how we roll here.
I get to
I
send you one.
Yeah, you do. I'll take a Team Jeet mug. Um, I was born and raised in Chicago. I grew up with city worker parents. My dad was a cop. My mom was a teacher. So being in law enforcement was kind of always my dream career. That's what I wanted to do. I've always had jobs in service industries, whether it was being a lifeguard over the summer, whether it was, waiting tables, being a bartender. I was a swim instructor. So kind of always had careers where I was servicing my community and helping others. Got into 911 dispatching, felt that I could do more being a police officer on the street, and then ultimately was a police officer for about 10 years in a couple different departments across the Chicagoland area. 2020 and 2021 were hard years, and I had gotten my real estate license just as kind of a make a few extra bucks here and there, not have to work so much overtime, help out family and friends. But then with all the craziness surrounding the riots in Chicago and some of the other, societal shifts in the view on law enforcement officers, I had the opportunity through my partner, Eric Gimbel, who you've also met via Zoom.
Great.
Yes, he is, to go full-time in real estate. And that was a big, scary jump for someone who's grown up in a law enforcement family. Kind of your end goal is to do your 20, 30 years, retire with your pension, you have your health care, and you just kind of, you make it through your 30 years of your career, and then you've made it. That's success in the community that I grew up in. Most of the people that I went to school with, that I grew up with, their parents were city workers, cops, firefighters, nurses, teachers. So that was just kind of the average of what everybody did, right? So when Eric brought this opportunity to me to get into real estate full time, it was a big, scary jump. And I feel like my dad and my fiance, who is also a police officer in Chicago, looked at me like I had three heads. Like, what do you mean you're going to leave your salaried, pensioned health insurance job to run on commission? And I was like, Eric says I can do it, so let's try. If not, I can always come back to being a police officer or a bartender or whatever else I want to do in world.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that you mentioned that because this is one of the major comments we get when we start any entrepreneurial venture, especially real estate agents. Like, are you really going to go full time? Are you really going to take everything off the table and risk that uncertainty?
Right. Like, what happens if you don't make a sale? Well, you know what? You go out there and get another one.
And that's something that I heard a lot as well when I first got my license too, is it's a nice gig. As we both seen it, it's when you treat it like a business, you get paid like a business.
Correct. Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of people think that real estate is easy. And
Mhm.
there's a lot of agents that got on, during 2020 and 2021 when the interest rates were stupid low and houses were, you never had to market a house. You didn't have to search for homes for your buyers. You didn't have to put in any of the footwork because deals would just fall in your lap.
Yeah,
And I think the advantage of me getting my license and having some transactions under my belt prior to that was that I got to experience what it takes to service a seller, what it
right.
takes to actually have to search for homes for your buyers, try to uncover hidden gems in your neighborhood, the door knocking, the cold calling, the things that a lot of agents kind of took for granted, I think, during that time period.
Yeah,
Um, but also, I think the most important part is focusing on the fact that it is a service industry. And when you get out of that realm of not wanting to provide the best service, then of course it's going to be harder because people aren't going to want to work with you if you are not providing the best customer service possible.
that value. You see, it's that
Right.
intrinsic value that you provide for your clients and your customers and your community. And that's something that you transition from serving your community as a woman in blue, like I said.
Yes, I love that. Thank you.
My pleasure. And going into the community as the advocate, the real estate, the community advocate in real estate. And
Yeah.
how has that transition been for you from 2019 to going part-time into full-time?
Yeah. It was definitely, I think that most police officers can kind of agree with me on this is that it's not a job, it's a vocation, right? Like you get into it because you truly care and like you truly want to help people. So there was an aspect of me that was like, I feel like I'm kind of giving up on that.
Mhm.
And had to shift my mindset to no, I'm just helping my community in different ways, right? So I can bring value in the fact that I know the city, I know the surrounding suburbs, I have huge knowledge of all of the surrounding areas of the city, and know, when somebody tells me that they're not sure where they want to start looking, I have a good insight onto certain neighborhoods or areas, and
Mhm.
also just helping people get into a home or getting out of a bad situation. I've had a lot of my deals have been divorcees that needed to get out and move out and find a new place for their own. I've done a lot of probate, or not probate recently, but houses that are, you know mom's house, mom's in a nursing home and now we've got to sell her house so she has money to live. And I just find myself dealing with more and more clients that need more help than just like your standard
Yeah,
run of the mill kind of buyer. And those are the clients that make me want to keep going and keep helping, because ultimately that's how I was raised. You help other people, right?
that's
And
beautiful.
we have such a service background in my family that I feel like it's something that I'll never shake truly, and I don't think that's a bad thing. Um,
No,
but it's nice to help people on good days versus always helping people on the worst days. And that's, most police officers, when they're coming to your house or they're talking, 911 dispatchers talking to you on your phone, it's the worst day of your life at that moment because something terrible has happened, versus someone calling me and saying, hey, I need help finding a house. you know
it's a total
yeah.
change, a shift. And so how does that make you feel from going into that? And I know we spoke about this earlier too, is that there are you must know a lot of law enforcement people who are maybe thinking about having that part-time thing so that they don't have to work overtime, or even a nurse
Yeah.
or someone that's going in it as a part-time, thinking that this may be an easy thing to do, like sell a house here or there.
Yeah.
How, when you got your license and you started doing the transactions, what opened up? And like you said, mindset is so important, shifting that mindset
Yeah.
of I'm going from helping people here to helping people in real estate, going on to their next chapter and changing their life, either if they're getting a divorce or going into a nursing home or downsizing, whatever the case may be, because it's just
Right.
not a typical, it's not always just, okay, hey, what you see on HGTV.
Right. I'm a cat herder and I'm a butterfly farmer and we're looking for a house for $1.5 million.
Yeah, it's not always the case. And we're
No.
actually, yeah, advocating and working within our communities to help people down. So like I feel sorry for somebody in my community that my partner and I have been talking to for a while now, and he's not feeling so well. And
Yeah.
we're just like, okay, it's coming to a point where the house is too much for him.
Right.
So how can you service that person
Right.
so that they can live a better lifestyle?
Well, and I think that there's a level of just like empathy involved
Mhm.
in every real estate transaction, because I feel like um that it's a very personal thing, that you if like the one listing appointment I went on last week, it's his mother's house, it's the house he grew up in, they've owned the
Mhm.
house for 50 years. His bedroom still has his childhood toys in it, and he wants to list it, but it's going to take him a while to kind of get through that stuff and to pack things up.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's some agents out there who would be like, all right, hurry up, let's go, let's go. Let me get a moving company in. I'll get a
Mhm.
packing company in. And I just told him, I said, this is your house. This is your family house. This is your mom's family house. Like, this is where she raised her children and made all of her memories. You can take your time. Like, there's no rush. There's no hurry.
Yeah.
If you would like help, I have resources and can help you. If you don't want help, that's fine too. And he was like, well, would I be able to bring my mom back in to see the house one more time before we sell it? I'm like, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, yes, she can come and say goodbye to the house. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And I feel like taking that moment to pause and realize that everything doesn't have to happen immediately, is very important when you're dealing with sellers mainly, but also with buyers too, is that it's a big decision, and sometimes it can be scary, and they're moving out of wherever they've been living for a time, and
Yeah.
there's some like remorse there. I was on a
Mhm.
coaching meeting where they referred to selling your house as kind of going through the stages of grief,
Yeah.
because of
That's
the attachment
interesting.
that you have.
Well, that is interesting because it could be that circumstances are forcing you to move.
Right.
And it absolutely is a grief if the situation calls for it.
Yeah. So, and I
Um,
think my experience both in 911 dispatching and being a police officer, um, helped me kind of have that compassion and have that slow down, that pause of actually really listening
mhm.
to what my clients or potential clients have to say about their situation, because that's going to dictate how I handle that client or handle that situation. It's not cookie cutter, and I think that's what I like about real estate that's similar to law enforcement, is that every day is not the same. Every day is different. Every day I'm talking to new people. Every day I'm meeting new people. Every day something else happens that I'm like, oh wow, I didn't think that was going to happen.
Yeah. That's so true. Like one of my partners in Pennsylvania, I love her, Rizwana. We were talking and her listing actually got on fire.
Oh no.
Yeah, and she was like, I'm literally going out to burn to to what's the word? Um, what's the word?
Bonfire, a burning
Yeah,
house.
it was burn like to put out a
Oh,
fire.
put out a fire. Yeah. She's a firefighter today.
And yeah, so but the important thing is that part that you said it's it's that empathy. It's
Right.
like if if she she's such an amazing agent where she's like, okay, I'm going to be there for my seller during this time of need for him.
Right. And what
And
what can you do to help that client further instead of just saying, "Oh, sorry, your house burnt down. That sucks."
exactly. Yep.
You
Like
know?
running to it. And that's what makes like true professionals in real estate and servicers. And there's so many of us out there that I
Yeah.
love. I love getting to interview like Nikki, you're amazing. When I met you, it's just like there's like a whole bunch of people in a Zoom call that when I saw you, I just felt like I was just attracted to, like, your energy was
Thank you.
attractive.
I would have to say the same thing about you. When you came on the screen, I was like, oh, I like her. She's a good one.
Thank you. And it's just like you just know. And same thing with Rizwana, my partner. I'm sure she's watching this, Catherine Quinn, and she gets down and cleans up the mess and everything. Like
Yeah,
we are there for you. And it's that empathy part that I don't know if any of you are watching this and you're a real estate agent, this is one, if you get anything, this is one great big tip. I'm a big reader and I love this book from Chris Voss called Never Split the Difference. And it's for business owners. If you're a real estate agent, definitely you should make this your top three to read, um, because he talks about tactical empathy and what
yep,
it is to be empathizing with your client and why you should, like, why it's a must. It's not a should, it's a must,
right.
especially if you're working in the service industry like
Because
this.
ultimately, it's a personal experience, whether you're buying or selling, and I think that's one of the reasons why certain agents do better than others. And I think it just has to do with it's your personality, it's
Mhm.
how you come across. And I never get upset if someone chooses to go with someone else versus me, because I feel like you pick the person who you feel most comfortable with.
Yeah.
You know, I tell this to lenders that I talk to. I tell this to the attorneys that I work with. Like, look, I'm going to refer you to the person that I think would be the best personality match for
Mm.
you, because I know that some people's personalities aren't going to match, and that's fine. And
Yeah,
if you don't want to work with me because you don't get the right vibe, then okay,
that's
I
fine.
will I
You
will
have to
I
be
will
the right
gladly give
fit.
you a referral to somebody who
Mhm.
might be a better fit than me, and I'm not going to be mad about it. There's no point.
No. And that's it's beautiful. You're not attached to the result. You're doing
Right.
the work, you're providing the service, you're giving the value, and you're not attached to the result because obviously you're going to get something
Yeah.
next from
Right.
whoever you're going to help next.
And I think that's another kind of parallel. Um, Not parallel. I suppose that's the wrong term. One of the things that I kind of bring with me from my law enforcement days are, you know, is it really an emergency, right?
Hmm.
So like nobody's dead, nobody's hurt, nobody's in jail. We can figure it out. It's
Yeah.
fixable. Okay? Like
I
that's
love that.
everybody's going home at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to jail, nobody's getting buried, and nobody's going to the hospital. It's okay. We can fix it. We can figure it out. If nothing's on fire, or in your case, your friend's case, it was.
That was an emergency. Exactly. Like
Yeah,
there's never really, like you said, if there's a real emergency, but 90% of the time it's not going to be an emergency
yeah.
in real estate.
And I think that too, my ability to remain calm in those kind of crazy situations helped me be able to navigate a little bit more difficult clients. When a client calls and is screaming at me about something that I didn't even have anything to do with, instead of getting all hot and bothered, it's like, okay, well, what can we do to fix this? How can I help you?
That's
Like
awesome.
instead of getting your feelings hurt
Mm.
and realizing that it's them and how they're feeling and it has nothing to do with you. So acknowledge their feelings and figure out a solution.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that because that's what a lot of people, especially if you're starting off new and you're changing. So you actually like having this background and transitioning into it is helpful. Like I came from the health industry
Yeah,
and I worked with a lot of psychiatric patients. So I understood like, okay, if I understand how to speak with others because it's not about you, it's really about them.
right.
And when
And
you
you have
can
to actually hear what they're saying.
yes, because when you can understand, when you understand it's about them and it's not about you, that's what's going to take you far. That's what's going to actually take off with your business.
Yeah. I remember one of my first transactions. I had worked with this girl for like 6, 7, 8 months trying to find the perfect place. And we finally find it. We get our offer accepted. The inspection took like 4 hours for no reason on an 800 square foot condo. And we get like a week before closing, and she just decides she doesn't want it anymore and walked away from the
Oh,
offer.
weeks before it.
Yeah. because of something in the inspection that had nothing to do with her unit. Her unit didn't come with a parking space, but there was an issue with the garage. And I was like, but okay, but whatever. And I remember calling Eric and being like so angry and so upset and like, I did all this work. This is BS. Like I can't believe that they did this and blah blah blah. And he's like, it's okay. Like you'll get another one. And he's like, it's nothing about the service you provided. You did everything that you could do. And there are some things that you just can't help. And you're going to have those clients who are just going to change their mind because
Buyer's remorse.
right. Or who knows what else.
Whatever. Yeah.
And you know, and I was angry because she wouldn't talk to me and like tell me kind of like what actually happened. But at the end of the day, it was a learning experience for me and how to manage my emotions when things don't go the right way.
That's amazing. And you acknowledged that and learned from it and moved on. So
Right.
what have you learned from that experience now? Like how would you do that differently today?
I think that was part of my learning experience in really understanding what the client wants and needs and kind of what their underlying motivator is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she thought she wanted something permanent and realized that she didn't, you know, and she was, you know, not from this country, and there had been health changes in her family members overseas. And I think that she was renting and then going to buy. And I think she just didn't want to feel stuck.
Okay.
That's my perception of it. I don't know the truth, but you know, I think that digging in a little bit deeper into what actually is motivating your buyers and your sellers and having a firm understanding of what they're looking for and what their expectations are and what their fears are. What are they afraid of? Like, what is their concerns? You know, I have talked to a couple agents who are like, well, if they don't buy something within X amount of time, then I just move on.
Oh.
And, you know, there are some, if you have a time sucker and you know it, then, you know, you don't put as much effort towards that. If you know that they're going to send you 15 houses to go see and then be like, nah, none of them worked. But also I have had a couple long haul clients where it's paid off in the end and they've become friends and great referral partners. So sometimes just having a little bit of patience and not giving up on people because they're not moving at your pace, I think is important too.
I love that, Nikki, that you mentioned two main things in this learning experience that you had is one, finding the truth. One of my mentors, Bob Berg, he's always talking about this. And when you're going into the discovery process, you're really at the beginning of it, you're learning the person's
I just bought
truth.
this, by the way.
Oh my God!
On your recommendation.
I love it. Oh, I have mine right here. Oh my gosh, Bob would love this.
Literally just bought it because you recommended it in that first Zoom meeting when I met you, and it just showed up from Amazon. So this is going to be my next one. It was small enough where I felt like I could get through it and not be mad at myself.
It's amazing. Can you admit, like, this has been such a life changer for me. My notes and everything are in here.
I love it.
But that's what he talks about. Like, if you see the first value, law of value is the law of value. And are you how valuable are you in your community? How valuable are you in your business? And how are you providing that value? So that's what Bob mentions, is that you're going through the discovery process and learning the truth, because you want to learn what the truth is for the client so that you can service them in their truth, not yours, not the pace that you're going to go in, but in their truth. And that's just absolutely beautiful. So it's an amazing learning experience, and this book is just going to amplify that.
I'm excited.
You just made my day.
I'm glad. I love it. It's so funny because it showed up while I was leaving I'm actually doing this meeting from, we have a local business in Edison Park. We run a game store, board games, card games, Magic, Dungeons and Dragons. It's a community space for people to come and play. I was grabbing my stuff to come and work from here today. And this was it popped up and was on my desk. And I was like, you know what? I'll grab that. Maybe I'll read that today while I'm sitting at the store
Oh,
after I talk with Harjeet.
it's amazing. That's beautiful. So this, as you guys can see, that just was not planned.
Not at all.
And I think Nicci, we met. Gosh, I think it was October or something.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
It was a little. It was before EXPCon.
Yes.
So yeah, that was probably September.
Which is probably one of my goals this year. I'm going to try and make it. We'll see.
It's absolutely amazing. It's a must. It's a must. You learn so much and you meet so many new people. And actually, transitioning into talking about EXP and what we do for a living. Well, we're both real estate agents. I'm in New York. Nicci is in the Chicago area, like she mentioned. And honestly, I would feel so safe as Nicci is my my real estate agent. Not only is she an amazing person and she cares for you, she knows a thing or two to keep you safe.
I have one of my clients that's like, Nicci, you go in the basement first. I'm not going. I don't in the basements. I'm like, all right, I guess I'm going in the basement first.
I don't blame them. And that's one of the things. I was reading another book just specifically for real estate agents. Last week I had interviewed Kristen. She's a signature. Oh gosh, I don't want to say the wrong company. She's with another company and mentioned this book called The Ninja Selling.
Okay, I've heard of it.
And I'm just towards the end of the book, and he talks about the safety for the client. So before you walk in, for obviously if you're meeting the client for the first time and you don't know who the person is, you let them in first, especially if you're a woman. You want to make sure it's Women's Month, so make sure that you put your safety first. If you're comfortable enough.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go on.
I just had a thought, and that's something that I kind of, I guess, take for granted is my knowledge on kind of keeping myself safe. But that's something that I would, love to do moving forward in my career is do some like realtor, female or male, whoever, realtor safety classes, because I think that, I've been watching like those TikToks, the dumb ways to die. And like one was like a realtor opening the door, like, hey, come on in. And the guy's standing there with like a machete. And I was like, oh, okay.
I'm just getting my charger.
Yeah, no, fine. But just some real estate safety tips for our realtors out there is, you want to open the door and, have things ready possibly beforehand. And, generally I let clients go up the stairs before me or down the stairs before me. Don't allow yourself to be in a room that you can be locked in or have the door shut behind you.
Yeah.
And just being aware of your surroundings. Our minds are on a million things all the time. Yeah. And just really being aware of who's around you, what's around you. And if you get a goofy vibe off of somebody, then it's totally okay to say no. And sorry, we'll have to reschedule this for another day. And something I talked about with a couple of the agents on my team with the Gimbal group is that if it's totally okay to bring a partner with you, bring your friend with you, bring, whoever, be like, hey, you know what? I'm meeting this guy for the first time at this listing and I don't feel so comfortable about it. Would you come with me? You don't have to come in the house or sit in the car or whatever, just to have that extra person. But also, like, my fiance is a cop too. So every time I'm going on showings, who are you going with? Where are you going to be? What does your schedule look like? So that he knows that if I'm not back by a certain time or if I'm going into a certain area, to just kind of keep his phone nearby in case of emergencies.
So you have a plan and a system to keep yourself safe as when you're going on your listing appointments.
Yeah.
And that's such an amazing tip to give anybody who's a realtor, either if you're a veteran realtor or a new realtor. And it's just a great reminder to understand why this is just so important. Funny story. When I first started real estate, and we used to door knock, my partner and I had gotten a listing appointment, and we were going to meet at the listing appointment. So she goes to the wrong house.
Oh no.
I'm at the listing appointment, and she knocks on the door, and she's like, "Oh, my partner's here for the appointment, and nobody's here." She's like, "My partner's in there." She was ready to kick the door open.
Calling 911 on speed dial, like, he's in there.
She's like, I'm so she calls me. She's like, "Harjeet, where are you?" I'm like, "I'm at the house." She's like, "What's the number?" And I said, I give her the number. She's like, "Oh, I was ready to kick this door down."
Oh, that's funny. Well, I have a not as funny of a story, but similarly, I was going to a listing appointment and I got the numbers backwards. It was in the same cul-de-sac, but the sellers were watching me knock on the wrong door.
Oh my God.
So I'm standing there like looking around, and I'm like, no one's there, like looking in the house to see if anybody's home. And then I look at my phone and I check the address and I look up and I was like, oh.
And they're just watching.
And I look over my shoulder and like they're right there and they're standing in their doorway. We're like, hi. And I'm like, I'm coming. Hold on. Sorry about that.
It's so funny. We could go for days. I love the stories that we can have.
And there's just so many like comedical stories about what happens. And I think that a lot of new agents get wrapped up in trying to be perfect or trying to be this like robot that doesn't make mistakes. And at the end of the day, I think that that's the more important thing, is that people want to see that you're human. People want to understand that I'm not going to be mad at you if you're running late. It's okay. We're all human. It happens.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I had a photo appointment for one of my listings, and the photographer was running late, and I called her and was like, hey, and she picks up and obviously like still in bed. I was like, oh my God, I forgot. I'm so sorry. I'm like, it's okay. I've slept in too. It's fine. Like, can you get here quickly? If not, we can reschedule. She's like, I'm only 10 minutes away. I'm like, drive safely, please. Take your time. I was planning on being here for a few hours anyway. An extra 10 minutes isn't going to matter. But it was interesting because when she got there, she was so thankful and grateful that I wasn't like mean or yelling.
Yeah.
And I guess you kind of take for granted that other people are kind as well. And that's something that's important to remember, is that everybody deserves a little bit of grace sometimes when they make a mistake, right?
That is beautiful. That is so, this is why I love you. You're amazing.
You are amazing. I love all your stuff. You're like, every like little input, like every post that you put has so much value and so much like thought-provoking material. And that's why I enjoy following you on all of your socials, which everybody who's here should also follow Harjeet on all of her socials.
Well, I have to actually change it. It says Realtor Jeet. It's actually Harjeet K. Rathor. It's my name, Harjeet K. Rathor. Follow me, Twitter, TikTok, and IG. And Nikki, I believe yours is Nicci Mertens.
Realtor. Yeah.
Realtor.
Yeah. Okay. Which I know why you changed it. There's some Instagram trainings on changing your name to be.
We have it.
I was just trying to figure out how to combine my real life and real estate IGs to make it happen the way that they're talking about.
Oh, that's so funny. So like I said, we're with the same company, and we get amazing training. And one of the beautiful things about EXP is that we get this collaboration. We get to have this collaboration with agents across the world, not just the country, across the world. Even though like Nikki's 2 hours away from me on a plane, we're not
20-something hours on a car.
On a car. It sounds nice when it's just 2 hours.
Agreed.
It's a 20-hour drive. I wouldn't mind a nice long drive. I want to do a trip that, a coast to coast trip.
Yeah.
From New York to California.
You're gonna have to stop in Chicago. You got a place to stay.
Oh, thank you. I will. I definitely will. That's a goal of mine. That's actually one big goal of mine, is to do that trip and just have fun watching the country,
And to speak to that collaboration, like I really do, that's one of the reasons why I really enjoy EXP, is that you not only get to collaborate with all of your agents in the state and have that kind of meeting of the minds, so to speak. Oh, hi, Dad. That's my dad who just commented.
Hi, Dad.
um, but also the ability to get different perspectives from agents in different markets. And just, I keep bringing it back around to my police training, but when you're going through the like training program as a brand new baby police officer, and you have different field training officers throughout, you have different, like, your phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 training, and you get a different field training officer through each phase. You don't keep the same one. And I asked why that was, and they said, because you get a different perspective. Not every person is going to handle the same situation the same way. And you get to learn kind of different ways of doing things and different ways of handling certain situations and certain people. And I kind of bring that along with me when it comes to my learning and training in real estate, is that yes, I could listen to this one person talk for the rest of my life and just take all of their tips and clues, and that's my Bible. Or I can choose to listen to everybody and pick and choose the things that best suit me and that best fit my business and my personality and who I am, and working those, little tidbits from here and there into what makes you your own person, and individualizing it.
That's beautiful. That and it's like you're grocery shopping.
Right.
You're grocery shopping at what speaks to me, what aligns with my value, my vision, my purpose.
Yeah.
And then build on that from there. And that's just absolutely amazing that you do that and you take action on it, which clearly shows. And you're an absolute rock star in your community.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
You are too. You are out there kicking butt and taking names all the time. I love it. I love seeing it. Like I just said, I love seeing all your posts, and you provide so much value. And that's what's important, is what value you bring to not only your community, but your team members, your family. I love all the posts with your kids too. Those are great. They're adorable.
Thank you. They're my world. They are my absolute world. I have they're right here. So these are my two little ones. They're not so little anymore. One is 18, one is 17.
Oh, yeah. Mine are on the back of my phone, but they're not that size anymore. They're going to be 18 and 12 this year.
Oh,
so
that's amazing. So I have that 18 and 17, and then this one. She's just absolutely adorable. Yeah, yeah.
I have a soon-to-be stepson who's going to be 14 too. So I got a whole house full of teenagers.
Oh wow, that must be fun.
But I saw one of your posts that made me kind of feel a bigger connection to you, and that was with your 18-year-old son. Is that correct?
Yes.
And it seemed to me, just from the post, that you had him kind of young and in a hard situation. And I had my daughter my freshman year of college, and had her when I was 18 years old. And, you have a lot of people who are telling you that you can't do it. Mm-hmm. And look at us.
Yeah, I'm assuming we're the same exact age.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah, we're aging ourselves right now. I had him at 19.
Yeah.
And I was just, so my story is a bit different, and culturally, I got married right before I turned 18, so 17, and I was still in high school.
Yeah.
And we went to India, got married. I came back, finished school, then I went back to India, and then I was pregnant in July, I think, or August. So I'm like, okay, this has totally changed my life, because I did have a plan to go to college and go to medical school and do all of that. And that totally shifted. Talk about shift in careers. This was a total shift in life.
Yeah.
And so my focus then was, and my dad is a doctor, and I know as a child how it was for him to be in medical school.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not want to do that for my children. I wanted
a lot of work.
There. Yeah, it's because you really have to take out a lot of time to study.
Yeah.
And I said, so I chose to be with my kids, and I did go to school. I went through a few ups and downs through postpartum depression and all of that
Yeah.
fun
That's not
stuff.
fun. Yeah. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt.
And so like yeah, I had him at that young, and that post that I had put up, he turned 18. He turned 18 in April, and we had a really good conversation. And I wanted to I wanted to have a connection with him where it's like he's I know what it's going to look like in the future now, because you're going to be really busy with your
Right.
life, and I at least want to take a little sliver of that time and that moment and treasure it. So we
Yeah.
went out to the city and we had a really nice day out. We had a date, and it was
Nice.
really fun. And I wish I could do it more so often. I'm going to do it with my daughters, and just it's important. And I'm so glad you brought this up as a woman in real estate and mothers. And I'm sure, like, if you're a father and a single, even fathers or single dads, it's important to take that time out as an entrepreneur or real estate agent to carve out time for yourself and your family.
Yeah.
Because before you know it, time is 18
And
years goes by like.
honestly, that was one of my bigger deciding factors in leaving law enforcement, was that I had spent my kids' entire childhood working midnights, working overtime, being tired, getting, just dealing with the back end of society all the time and being cranky and
Mm,
not having time to spend with them and missing, milestones. When you're a police officer, you work holidays, you work birthdays, you don't get to have those times off with your family. Um, so making the shift into real estate was the opportunity to give me more time and a little bit more flexibility. Obviously, I failed a little bit in the beginning in that because I dove head first in and was just like working, 60, 70-hour weeks, just trying to make it happen. But now I'm at a spot in my career where I feel like I can take those days off. Like, I just planned spring break. I'm taking my girls to Aruba, and this will be the first spring break vacation I'm taking them on since 2017.
that's so amazing. Congratulations. You're gonna have
Yeah.
so much
So that's
fun.
one of my wins, is that I've gotten to a point where I can do that. I can afford to do that, and real
Mhm.
estate's provided me the opportunity to be able to take the time and have the financial opportunity to take them on a nice vacation.
That's beautiful. And that's because this is intentional planning on how you want to build your life. And you
Yeah,
have to be the architect of your life before anything
absolutely.
else. I love that. And so I absolutely am so honored that we got to do this and we got to learn more about each other. We're more similar than
Yes.
I even thought. If there was one tip or message that you would give viewers today, what would it be?
Um, I mean, in life, in real estate, and
Let's do real estate since that's what we were talking about.
yeah.
Well, actually,
Um,
the transition in career, because this is really what it is about,
yes.
is the career shift. Because, like I said, Nikki came from the law enforcement and community service industry to another community service industry as a real estate agent. I
Yeah.
came from the health field and I'm transitioning. I do still work in the health field. I'm transitioning into a full time real estate and helping the community in
Yeah.
the ways that I can help. So, how
Well,
is that? Yeah,
I would say that if you're thinking about making the transition, if you've already got your, real estate license and you're working part-time, you know, put a little bit more effort towards it. See what you can do when you're putting a little bit more effort towards it. If you're thinking about making the jump and you're able to, I would say do it. I think it's worth it. I think that betting on yourself is always the best bet.
awesome.
And um, I don't know why, but this Mr. Rogers quote came to my head of like, always look for the helpers, right?
I love
So
that.
like that's just what it comes down to, is that you have people in this industry who are helpers, and there are people who will help you get there and make it happen for you. You know, that person for me in my career was Eric, and now we're helping other people on our team do the same thing. And I think that it's important to never forget where you came from and always be the helper.
Always be the helper. Always look for the helpers. I love that. And I'm so glad that, I got connected to you and Eric. You've been so helpful and influential in my business and my life. I, I didn't mention this earlier, and I'll mention it now. How I got to meet, and this is the power of EXP. Really, this is just the power of who we work with, and who you work with does matter.
Mm-hmm.
I was feeling so down and just really questioning myself at this point, and with my future's in a go. And Brian Culling, he's a co-founder of EXP. We're part of this group on Facebook. Messages, everyone's got to jump on this call. And I'm looking at this message in this group, and I'm like, I want to jump on another call.
I remember this call too.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay. And I just looked at it, and I just sitting right here, like I really don't want to get on another call. I'm gonna put some work in.
Right.
And little do we know, getting on a call is actually putting work in.
It is.
So, and that's such a learning lesson. So I look at it again, and I'm like, you know what? If Brian is saying this, it must be important. And I don't take what Brian says very lightly. Like, it matters.
Right.
So I get on the call, and there's Eric and you, Nikki, and the rest of the group going through this training. And I'm not part of the the sponsorship, or I'm just part of EXP, but I'm not really directly part of the group. But here I am on this call, and you guys, all of you welcomed me so wonderfully, and I've learned so much from Eric and you and the rest of the group, that day it really, like, oh, I'm in the right place. I'm doing the right things. And I don't know why I had this seed of doubt.
Yeah, I remember there was one call where, like, we were talking about goals, and Eric asked you what your goals were, and it just completely called you out and was like, "Nope, that's too low. You can do more."
Yeah.
And you were like, "Oh, okay. I guess I have to raise my goals."
Yeah. and that's what I love about it. It's like it's so important. It's so important. What rooms are you going in? Who are you learning from? And that day that changed. Like, I really was like, you know what? I'm just so happy that I did get into this call. I got to meet Eric Gimbel. I got to meet you, Nicci Mertens, and I got to meet the rest of this group, which is full of rock stars, not just in the Chicago area, but everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere.
And
EXP does really provide a great opportunity to get yourself in the room with the right people. Whether it's a Zoom room or a real room, it really does provide you with all of the opportunities. You just have to get there.
Absolutely. Just and I said this yesterday in a post, where, I hope I don't say it wrong again. What you focus, where your focus goes, energy flows, from Tony Robbins.
Yes.
And that's absolutely where it was. My focus was there. I looked at it. Something told me get on this call. I got on it, and I got to meet you, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Nikki and Eric. And
I got to meet you.
It's so awesome. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's a pleasure. And thank you for joining.
Yes, thank you for having me.
I definitely have to send you one of these cups. So
yes. We'll talk offline. I'll give you my address.
Exactly. and just listen.
I mean, if anybody else wants to send me things too, I guess we could put it in the chat.
Well, you know what you could send? Definitely reach out to Nikki. Here's her. This is on Instagram. This is her Instagram account. So reach out to her if you have any questions regarding the Chicago market report. What's going on? What's available? Do reach out to her. She will absolutely take care of you.
Yes, absolutely. And if you need any help in New York, Realtor Jeet here is your girl. She is the one. She's all things New York, and follow her because her Instagram is off the charts. And she's always got really great videos too.
Thank you. That's such an honor. I love you, Nikki.
I love you too.
I'm just to ask you to hold on for one moment. Thank you for joining Jaw Time with Realtor Jeet. You'll get one of those mugs. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. After, if you enjoy these, share them as well. And I look forward to adding more value to you because our next week's special guest is Eric Gimbel. So that's going to be fun.
I knew that was going to happen.
Bye, guys.
All right. Bye-bye.
Give me one more.